Coming to you from behind the lines in Washington State, local and national talk, news, and opinions. This is the Behind the Line podcast. It always amazes me the level of corruption in the government, state and federal. And this week we are seeing it play out in the Larry Nassar case, the gymnastic coach who coached girls who were going to the U.S. Olympic team. This guy raped and molested more than 150 of these girls. And 4 of these gymnasts testified to Congress this week about the FBI's, I don't even know if you could call it a botched investigation, but a pathetic excuse for an investigation where they lied and covered up and did nothing. One of these girls was speaking about a conversation she had with an FBI investigator from Indianapolis, and she told the agent, what happened. Actually spent 3 hours talking to this agent about the abuse that she endured, according to this report on Vice. And at the end, she was met with silence, and then he said, "Is that all?" He took no action and then actually lied in his report about statements that were made, because he didn't want to get into trouble for lack of response to these allegations and previous allegations. He, according to this report, lied to the Justice Department Inspector General's office in an effort to minimize or excuse his errors. And even after all this, the Inspector General's office, big shocker here, declined to prosecute anyone in the FBI over the handling of the Nassar case. I mean, are you kidding me? Does this get any more corrupt than this right here? 150 young girls being molested and raped by some turd. They've got all the evidence they need and they don't do anything about it. This guy was able to stay free for another year and do who knows what during that year. And nobody's in trouble for this. Nobody's going to answer for this. Nobody lost their job for this. Nobody's going to jail for this. This is just the usual actions by our government to cover up its failures and lack of protections. This happens all the time. We see it every week on the news, and yet it continues. And yet the American people stand for this. They continue to trust what the government says. They continue to believe that somehow these agencies are here for your protection. When are you people going to wake up and realize that they are not here to protect you, and they are not doing their jobs, and they just cover for each other? This whole thing came up about the failure to prosecute during the hearing, congressional hearing. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, who is a Democrat, called on the Justice Department to pursue criminal prosecution where appropriate. Well, I think it's appropriate. And yet, this will just go away. Nothing will happen. This is just par for the course with our government. So after these girls were done testifying, Michael Horowitz, the Justice Department's Inspector General, and Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, also testified. And Wray said that the particular FBI agent who interviewed Maroney, he's not the only one responsible for this, okay? This has many moving parts, many other agents involved. But of course, they're going to pick one guy. That guy's going to be the scapegoat. Well, this is over. This is done. This guy no longer works for the FBI in any capacity. Okay, but was he fired? No. He's probably a cop somewhere else. Who knows? Doing the same piss poor job somewhere else, causing this kind of pain somewhere else. And then when asked if the agent faced prosecution, Wray said no. Why is that? What these people are just always above the law. They can always end up doing what they want, and it's just, why do we put up with this? Why are you, as an American taxpayer, paying all these stupid, ridiculous government agencies all your money? You're being taxed into the ground. Why do you put up with this? Why is this acceptable? Why do you trust the government about anything they say? Because they lie about everything. Do some research on the FBI. This whole organization was founded on coercion and blackmail. Edgar Hoover, who started the FBI, had files on anybody and everybody that he thought he could use and abuse and threaten to get ahead. The whole organization is based on fraud and blackmail, and it's just typical US government. Why do we accept this? Wake up. So the last few days I've seen on Twitter that good old President Biden has been droning on and on about taxing the rich, and they need to pay their fair share, and it's the same old story from Democrats. It has been for years and years, and it's coming from a bunch of politicians who are also the ultra rich. And it's hilarious to me. Like, you see this in all these big blue cities too. You Democrats complaining about all these policies that, hurt the poor and all this. And yet, in most of these cases, the Democrats have been in control for years and years. Now, I know Biden has only been in there for a couple of years, but Obama was president before Trump. And, Clinton was there. And why weren't any of these policies done then? It's always all this talk about they're going to tax the rich, they're going to come back for the working man and middle class America and blah, blah, blah. They've had years and years and years to do something about that, to put policies in place that would support the middle class and tax the ultra rich. And I do think the ultra rich should be paying a lot more in tax, and there shouldn't be loopholes to allow them to pay no tax or less tax than a firefighter or a cop or a plumber or whoever, a teacher, whatever. But they don't do anything about it. It's just a lot of talk, and it gets a lot of people fired up and supporting. Yeah, let's get these people. I think it gets votes, but in the end, they never change policies. They never do anything about this stuff. And it's because they're ultra rich too. And why we keep electing these people who, are millionaires 10 times over to represent the people, they don't. Most of these people have been politicians their whole life. They haven't even had a regular job. They are just hacks. They don't understand what it's like to have to go to work every day and pay your bills and not have anything left over at the end of the month because of taxes and bills and everything, rising prices. Thank you, Mr. President, for the inflation. And it's just all a bunch of talk. They just aren't ever gonna actually do anything about it. These politicians are in bed with all these big businesses and big industry, and as much as Biden wants to cry about oil and renewable energy, the odds are that's not going to happen either. Do you know how much oil money is coming into the federal government, into these politicians' pockets? Do you know how many lobbyists they have at the Capitol? Lobbyists should be illegal. That should not be a thing. They should not be allowed to influence our politicians. And why are you trusting these politicians when they tell you they're going to do these things, and they've been saying it for years and years and years, and they don't act? They don't take action. They don't do anything. Nothing ever changes. In fact, it only gets worse. And yet you listen to it, and for some reason, a lot of Americans believe this garbage and believe that somehow this time he'll do something. This time it's the truth. It's not. It's not going to change. And it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans too. They lie about everything. Whatever they have to say to keep their jobs, they got their backdoor money. They're all rich and out of touch. Joe Biden's estimated net worth as of June 2021 is $8 million. His wife, during the 4 years that Biden was out of office, earned $17.3 million. Do these two sound like just hard-working, normal Americans that understand what the rest of us are going through? Seriously? Do you believe that? Do you think they really care about you or how much tax you're paying? Do his policies reflect any sort of real concern about your life or how hard it is for you? He talks a lot. Oh yeah, he talks a lot. Does he actually do anything? Do any of them actually do anything? You know the answer. I don't even have to say it. Good old Bernie Sanders, man of the people, really cares, right? You know, his net worth is $3 million. Yeah, it's not as much as Biden, but he doesn't take quite as much backdoor money. His salary is $174,000 a year. So where does this other money come from? His activism, because the guy has also never had a real job. He's been a politician and activist his whole life. And yet people follow this guy like he is a man of the people, blah, 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 blah. Same story. Just another politician, POS, that's a bunch of talk, because he talks a lot. And has anything he's talked about ever gone through or happened, or any of those changes been made? No. Nope. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, lifetime politician. What is her net worth? Well, it's at least, as of 2013, it was $26.4 million. Do you know what it is now? Just what, 8 years later? $120 million. This is a lady that makes $223,000 a year as Speaker of the House. How is that possible? How much money is she getting on the side as a politician that doesn't affect her decision about things at all, does it? If you were getting that kind of money, do you think you might be a little inclined to vote certain ways? And I'm not saying it's just her, it's every politician. These lobbyists are up their butt for everything. And there's lots of money to go around to get what they need. Ted Cruz, as of 2016's net worth was $3.5 million. Mitt Romney in 2012 was $250 million. Mitch McConnell, 2014, $22.5 million. These people should not be the ultra rich. We should not have politicians that are rich running this country. They don't understand the rest of us, the people that they are supposed to be representing. A representative of the people should be just that. Somebody who's just like the people they represent. And these people, my friends, are not. And most of them, like I said, have had a lifetime of working in politics. They don't even know what it's like to have a regular job. They probably don't even pay their own bills. Somebody does that for them. These people are taking money from places they shouldn't. They are not making decisions that are good for the country or the rest of us. And yet somehow, some way, so many of you sit there and listen to them and believe them and trust them, even though it's just lie after lie for years and years. If you were in a relationship with somebody who treated you the way these politicians treat us, you would not stay. At some point, you would realize that person is a sociopath or a narcissist or both, or a psychopath, and you would get out. It's mental abuse. And yet, we listen to it every day. We listen to the media every day tell us and regurgitate these lies from these politicians. And so many of us Americans believe it and trust it. Why? Where is the common sense? Where is your critical thinking? Think for yourself. Realize what's happening here. Trust your intuition if you still have one. Turn off the mainstream media and stop listening to that propaganda bullshit. Folks, we're losing our rights. We're losing our country. We're losing all our money. And for what? For what? These politicians are liars and thieves. And it's time for everybody to wake up and see the writing on the wall. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Behind the Line podcast. I hope you will subscribe to the channel so you can get regular updates. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, I hope you will also like it, share it, and subscribe on YouTube as well. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, Spreaker. We're on various other podcast platforms. And you can find me on LinkedIn under John Washington. Again, thank you for listening. We appreciate your support.